Well, hi everybody. It's the Dead Air Horror Review Show. And Chris, let me ask you a question.
Oh boy. Yep.
What's the best thing to do with $75 and a Spirit Halloween Grinch costume?
I think you want me to say make a movie that you're forced to watch because you're doing a podcast about it.
That's exactly correct. Yes.
Oh, wow.
That is, and in fact, it not only is it the best thing to do, apparently it's the only thing to do.
Yeah.
And you know what else is great? When you can't get over copyright laws, you just try to ignore them and just kind of hope nobody notices. To
Well,
just
I feel like there's so much to dive into here. Let's let's stop there and then we'll get into there's so much to cover here.
So what do we watch this week, Chris?
This week was a TJ pick. It
Yeah,
was
God, don't put that stink on me. Damn, I know. It's just like this would hurt. This would hurt
hey,
my
we both
soul.
reek. We've
And it's
both picked
funny.
some
I knew it was
real
good. I let me just put this out there. Well, say what we watched first of all. I'm sorry.
it's the mean one.
We
Uh
watched the mean
yeah.
one. Yes.
The Grinch
Um.
ripoff, satire, whatever you want to call
Yeah.
it, dumpster
And
fire.
I want to. It's interesting, right? Because a few episodes ago we watched Silent Night, Deadly Night, which I said was my favorite movie of all time. Now, there is such a difference between a bad movie from like the 70s or the 80s or even earlier than that compared to like current day bad movies. Like there's no charm to this movie. Like Silent Night Deadly Night. Well, one, the advantage, and I know I'm like the fucking Christopher Nolan like film snob and all, but like Silent Night Deadly Night was shot on film, so it automatically looks like a movie.
Yeah.
Whereas this is shot on video and looks like trash. But like
Heavy
Silent
on the
Night Deadly
CG
Night,
on this one too. There
I
were
mean,
the
if you can call that, it's like After Effects
it's
on your fucking iPhone. Like it looked,
CapCut,
it's
the
like
CapCut version of
yeah, CapCut.
visual
Yeah,
effects.
exactly. Exactly. Like I think in the corner of the screen it was like trial period ending or whatever. But like I mean, but like, do you know what I mean? Like there is no like Sunlight Deadly Night felt like a very earnest attempt to make a good movie, but they just had no fucking idea what they were doing.
Yeah.
Whereas like something like this, it's like I feel like it's done and I exist in this world and I understand this because I've been on the internet too long. But we are now in this like post-ironic era of like culture. And I feel like this is like a movie where it's like, well, it's funny because it's bad. Like they
Yeah.
intentionally know this movie is bad. And I'm supposed to find it endearing because it's intentionally bad.
Yeah.
And spoiler alerts, I did not. I found it awful. But like, you know what I mean? Like I don't I feel like if you like the only way to make this movie any good would be to make it like honestly, like to really try to make it a solid movie because you can't tell me that these people like they're like proud of this movie or they're like it wasn't done with like a tongue that pokes so sharply in their cheeks it popped out the other side. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it's
This is
too
another potential, I feel like, career ender movie for some
I don't think
people.
I would. I don't think any of these people had a career. I mean, like I didn't bother to look at anybody's IMDb, but
I
I recognize none of these actors. I can't imagine that. And we'll get in. I we'll get into it in a second, I'm sure. But like, we'll talk about it. But like, none of these people have done anything of any note. And I
yeah.
mean, there's a reason. Like,
Well,
I don't know.
you made a point that what was so great about Silent Night, Deadly Night is that it felt earnest and like
Yes,
they
absolutely.
really attempted with to make a good movie with what they had. The thing, correct me if I'm wrong here, but
Sure.
I think what differentiates this from that movie, the storyline, the plots, the actors, and everything.
Right.
Pretty much everything. Is that they tried to make it, they had everything, like the resources available to them. Like they tried with the CG and it just didn't come off quite right. Like they
Yeah.
they could have done straight up practical effects. They chose to go CG.
Well, I'm sure
The
those are more
actors weren't,
expensive, but
yeah, I'm
like,
sure.
yeah, but
But
yeah,
the
and I'm sure they made
actors,
this on like $100 budget or whatever, but still,
yeah. Some of these people have, I'm guessing, acted before, weren't
maybe.
terrible. Whereas in the Silent Night, Deadly Night, I feel like they pulled those people off the street and were like,
Yeah,
"Hey, you want
yeah,
to make a few bucks? We got this movie we're making to
yeah.
piss off a bunch of parents around Christmas." This movie, I feel like there was some acting chops there, although obviously it wasn't to either of our tastes. Like
No.
it was,
I mean, I will give them credit. I mean, everybody was trying. Like, I
yeah,
don't think that it's not for lack of trying, it's just lack of like the script is so bad. And like again, it's like it's bad and it's like it's not like funny bad. It's just like this isn't like I said like 75 times in that sentence. It's something like a trauma movie, right? Like I love like trauma movies,
yeah.
even like the really off the wall ones, but they're written to be like gross out and like intentionally stupid and like they're funny. But this is just I don't know what this is. Like because it's bad and it's like it knows it's bad, but it's also not like leaning into it enough that it's I don't know how to describe it.
You
Like
know what's also
it's
like
so flat. It's just so just lifeless and flat.
the difference between this and trauma films is that trauma, I don't believe, pays anyone any
Right.
of
Yeah,
their
yeah.
staff. So like people are probably like, oh, fuck this. You know what? They get what they get. Like I'm not gonna
Right,
go out
right.
like I'll give them what I can give them today. Might not even show up for work tomorrow. Like I applied for an editor job and it was
No shit.
gratis.
That's funny.
Like they're
Oh,
not paying their
really?
editors. Yeah, it's just like
That's
we'll
hilarious.
pay you an experience. That's the
Oh,
kind of
wow.
level
Yeah,
of, yeah.
thanks. Yeah.
Uh, but with something like this, I feel like they definitely tried. They attempted to, but it's like the equivalent of a child when you tell them, "Oh, that was a funny joke you just told," and then they
Right.
continue to tell the same joke or try
Yeah.
different jokes, and it's just like, okay, now you're getting a little annoying, kid. Like it's
Yeah.
like a little overzealous. Like get a little too big for your britches. Like
Well, I feel like much in the same way that we had that evil Winnie the Pooh movie.
yeah,
Like I feel like this movie only exists for its premise. So
yeah.
like
Oh,
somebody will
absolutely.
be like, "Oh, the evil Grinch movie," and they'll spend $2 on Amazon Prime and be like, "Oh, this is terrible," and then turn it off. Like that's all they made this for.
Yeah.
And I think like they literally were just like, "Well, we gotta like make the movie now," and they're like, "Well, fuck, what do we do?" And then this came out because like the thing I couldn't wrap my head around the most is that to me if you gave me this idea, well, first I'd be like, that's a terrible idea, why would you make this into a movie? But like I don't know, it's some weird like Saw scenario where I have to like write a screenplay for this fucking movie. Like, um why wouldn't you structure this like the original like story? Like that doesn't make any sense to me at all. Like it's not structured like the original story, and you're just left with this thing that's like, well, he's the Grinch and he's like terrorizing this town because he has self-esteem issues or
Yeah.
something. Like
And he's
um
bloodthirsty, so we feed him Taurus, so he
right, but
doesn't
they
eat our
they do
own.
that trope has been done 1,000 times where it's like, oh, we have a monster in town that's a
Mhm.
secret, so people higher up in the town feed the monster. Like they've done it in a billion stories, and like it just doesn't work in this one. Like honestly, isn't a more fun version of this movie just the fucking Grinch story, but like he instead of like stealing Christmas, he just kills the Who's in their sleep. Like that to me,
He
that's the
kidnaps the
movie I would make.
children.
I mean, that's the
Yeah.
movie I would make, right? Like he literally it's just the Grinch and he fucking like I don't know, it's like more like the live action version where like he goes to the town and they like piss him off and they make fun of him and then he like it turns into like a fucking like home invasion movie, and the
Yeah.
Grinch is like slaughtered. Like that sounds awesome to me. But like the choice that they make, there's so many choices that they made, just make no sense. And like I I don't know, like one thing I gotta say, and just let me just I'm wearing a hat, but I'll put on my misogyny hat. One thing, one
Oh,
thing I
oh,
just
but are you
couldn't
sure
get.
you want to put that hat on?
I mean, it's not a hat that I wear very often.
Okay.
I just have to say that like they miscast the lead actress because like the first like the one of the earliest scenes in the movie, the sheriff pulls him over and he gives like the fucking awooga moment, and you look at it and you're like,
Yeah. Yeah.
it's like the it's like Jason Bateman in Arrested Development.
Yeah.
Like I'm sure she's a nice lady and all, but like I I don't understand. And we don't really do like plot for plot like beats on this show because I mean, why bother with this movie anyway? But one of the most confusing choices that this movie made is like almost at the end of the movie, the lead actress, she decides that she's going to take revenge, right? And they do this half-ass training montage and
Yeah.
all this shit, which is awful. Because again, like it's not committed to whatsoever. It's just like kind of there. And the cop, her buddy, the cop, the one that again was like giving her the awooga with
Hmm.
the fucking eyes bulging out. He's like, "Don't let hate consume you. Don't don't turn into this thing." It's like, what the fuck are you talking about? This thing is, you've legitimately called this thing a bloodthirsty monster.
And it
Like
killed
what?
her entire family.
It killed
But
her
she's not
entire family,
supposed to emote. You
and
know?
also killed like two innocent standers, or at least one person that she witnessed get murdered. And it's like,
Yeah.
don't turn into him. Like, what the fuck is like that's out of the wrong movie. Like, what are you talking about? Like, that makes no sense. And I briefly thought in the beginning of the movie, and the movie's not clever enough for this. I thought maybe because again, this is more this kind of stuff that I like in horror movies. I thought that they were trying to say that she was the murderer in the beginning and that she was just envisioning the Grinch, and it was
That
just
would have
like
been way more interesting.
it was like a martyrs situation where
Yeah.
like she is envisioning like this other person that's actually killing her. That's kind of fun. That's
Yeah.
something. But no, that's too much of like a real movie for this fucking movie. Like
They didn't want it to be a thinker.
they
They wanted
can't
it to be a
decide.
thinker.
They couldn't decide if the Grinch could talk or not because like half like I felt like they had scenes like there's a scene later in the movie where he kills like an entire bar, but like
Hmm.
there's like extended shots that just are him, the Grinch, and it feels like there should be something going on there, like they were gonna like dub in something, but they didn't, and he's just like mincing around. It's like, what is this?
Yeah, they kind of wanted him to make him a little playful, but
Yeah, well,
at this,
he's the Jim Carrey Grinch.
yeah,
It's I
right,
mean
exactly.
even the mask. It's the Jim Carrey. It's like cheap version of the Jim Carrey Grinch mask.
So it sounds like you weren't too impressed with the makeup and costume.
No, and the you've already touched on it several times, and I'm not talking about my wiener. Um,
Virtually,
the
people, virtually.
virtually. Oh yes, yes.
No
We
in-person horseplay. We're
we
separated by 300 miles.
we cyber before the show. Remember that? Kids remember the 90s? But no, the special effects, like the gore effects, like also there's just a Lucy sausage maker at this bar at the
That
like
was
edge
really
of the
odd
bar.
and like accessible to patrons.
Right. And it's what?
I mean,
And it's like a full on, it's not like the old school, like not that this would make any sense either, but it's not like an old like hand crank grinder. It's like a wood chipper at
yeah, it's
the
like a
end of a
push
bar.
button. It's way too easy for any passerby that happens to be a serial killer to just
Yeah.
nudge somebody in there and have a
Yeah.
quick thrill kill.
Yeah, and also that one woman gets fed into this wood chipper and is screaming some despite the fact that she is put in the wood chipper
Right.
head first.
Okay,
Like
okay. I noticed the same thing. I was like, this is how is she screaming? and her head is getting ground at the same time. Actually, no, she started screaming after her head was
After
going ground.
after
Yeah.
all the guts started coming up out of
Maybe
it.
it was her ghost. It was her spirit
Yeah.
releasing from her body.
Um, we're introduced to classic characters like evil sheriff and
Yeah.
Jewish deputy and Dr. Zeus. Cause get it? Uh, this movie is peppered with Dr. Seuss references. At one point, there's just a red fish and a blue fish on a desk.
Hmm.
Cause get it, red fish,
Yeah.
blue fish, one fish, two fish. I mean, the jokes just keep coming, folks.
Yeah.
It's
It's
literally like it's the extent of like looking at something, and go, huh,
right.
and that's your reaction. Huh. Hmm.
The whole movie is peppered with, oh, let's see what they did there.
Yeah, and I'll tell
Okay.
you what, the background image, and I put this up on the Plex, so I don't even know how they like established this, but if you went to like Amazon, when you click on the movie, there's like a
Mhm.
background image. So the background image for this was the main character with this like candy cane shotgun. And I saw that and I was like, "Oh, this movie's gonna be fucking fun." And that candy cane shotgun shows up for like about half a second at the end of the movie.
And she did it with her Glock too. She
Yeah,
probably spent more time taping up her weapons with
yeah,
peppermint designs than she did
peppermint.
actually
Yeah,
training
yeah.
for to kill the Grinch.
Also, that scene is fucking hilarious because like the Grinch conservatively gets shot about 75 times,
Yeah.
and he's fine. He's like ostensibly fine. And it makes no sense because like I mean they never really established like his power levels or whatever, but like I would imagine that getting shot would do something to him. Also the joke at the end, talk about jokes that make you go, huh. Um he dies, so like again the movie postulates that the Grinch is a man-eating serial killer because like the mom that he accidentally kills in the beginning of the movie says he's a monster, and then the main character, like the main character in the very beginning of the movie, I guess while he was trying to steal their Christmas tree,
Hmm.
possibly
Presents or
the,
yeah.
the little girl, the then little girl, gives him like a little trinket, and you find out at the end of the movie that he held on to the trinket for some reason because you're supposed to feel bad for him now,
Yeah.
and then his heart grows 3 sizes and explodes because that's what happened in the cartoon. Like,
Because she showed
okay,
a little bit of sympathy towards him at the end and his heart exploded.
right,
Not the 7 bullets that hit him
right,
directly in the chest. No.
yeah,
It
no, his
was
heart exploded.
yeah.
Also that particular scene is also hilarious because, again, like the Grinch is so ill-defined in this fucking movie that he's like communicating in that scene, which is fucking hilarious because she's like, "You kept it the whole time," and he's like, and it's like, what? Like, I thought it was like an animal. Like before, like the rest of the movie, he's like roar. Like again, they can't decide if he's supposed to talk or if he's supposed to make sounds, but like he's making like animal sounds. He lives in a cave, so like he's fucking. Is he like does he have intelligence or not? Like I understand. Also, a big fumble that there's no dog. He always has a dog.
Exactly. That
Where's
I
the
mean,
dog?
right. Add the dog. The dog played an integral part
Yeah,
in the original movies. Like I
in
was
the
just watching
cartoon
it
and the
about
Jim
30 minutes
Carrey
ago.
movie, and yeah, and the Rex, yeah.
Yeah.
Also, like, here's another no-brainer: make the dog like either like make him like a human that's like fucked up, like he's like a slave. Because again, it's a horror movie, right? You want to make it like
A
gross.
gimp.
Yeah, there you perfect. See,
Yeah.
look, the ideas just keep coming.
Right.
Or make it like a wolf, like a killer wolf. Because in the book and in the cartoon, he's like this little wiener dog.
Yeah.
So like in this, he says be like, "Yeah, I'm a big scary wolf man." I don't know. Like
I've always been a
again,
huge
this
fan of TJ's dog impressions.
hey wolf, I'm a dog. Yeah, that's me at the. I go to the dog park. Yeah,
That's dog noises. Yeah.
I'm into puppy play.
Oh boy. Oh,
Not not really at all. No, I
you're
no.
not going to the furry convention this year?
Well,
Gonna
Chris,
skip this one?
to be honest, there is a difference between be playing furries, and I would be more than happy to get into that in our other podcast.
I mean, it would be way more interesting to talk about that than this movie, to
I
be
mean,
quite
I know I said this right before we recorded, but like this movie's so bad, I was like worried about the show because I'm like, I don't even know if there's enough. Like, is there enough meat on this bone to even fucking chew at it? Like, is there
yeah,
enough things to talk about in this movie because it's such a just nothing burger? There's
yeah.
nothing there. Can you tell I'm hungry? I'm just using eating metaphors left and right.
it's it's it's
um,
it's bad for all the same reasons that Winnie the Pooh Blood and Honey was bad for.
yeah,
Like they just totally dropped the ball. It was boring. It was really really uninteresting and very. Was there a single laugh? I don't even think there was a single laugh.
I didn't laugh at all. And then
Uh,
everything was like very forced, right? Like
yeah,
every time he was about to say Grinch, they're at the bar and the lady's like, Finch, your order's ready, Finch. It's like,
I know.
okay. I guess like the thing is like this movie is a dumb premise to begin with. And it's not like you didn't even give me anything like, okay, it's an eviler, I guess, Grinch movie. Okay. What else you got? Nothing. Like nothing at all.
I have a
And
feeling
I
that whoever made this movie or whoever was involved with this movie, even if they weren't thinking about it fully, maybe subconsciously, they were thinking, I want to make a cult movie. A cult, maybe it won't be a cult hit now,
think everybody, yeah, I
but
agree with that.
it's too, I feel like
But
it doesn't work like that. Like you can't,
but that yeah, that's my point. Like that, it's like you can't give yourself a nickname, right? It just
yeah,
doesn't work. It's
right.
just it's just the law. You know the law, you got to follow the law. You can't if Tommy Wiseau went in and made the room and he's like, "Oh, I want this to be goofy and terrible and I want people to remember it because it's like the goofiest movie ever." Or like a Neil Breen, for example. I don't know if you're familiar with his work, but he's another Tommy Wiseau. No, those are cult movies because the people that made them are lunatics and they thought they were making fucking Citizen Kane.
Yeah.
It doesn't work. You know what I mean? Like I'll use an example of a movie that I remember when it came out. I was like, this is a stupid idea and I hate it. And then it came out and nobody remembers it anymore. But Snakes on a Plane, you remember that?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
It was a movie that was like marketed off of a dumb meme. It was like a meme movie. And then it came out and it was like one joke. And then that's the whole movie. And like it's lost to history. You know what I mean? Like you just can't go in. I don't think you can make a cult movie intentionally. The point of cult movies are they gather a following because I think that above all else, right? Like I keep bringing it up because we just watched it, but like Silent Night, Deadly Night is a movie that they really wanted to make, and it's a vision it is totally insane. Excuse me, dying. But you can tell that they really wanted to make it something. And that's why it stands out. There is passion in that movie. You know what I mean? Like think
Yeah.
about any like cult movie, like John Waters movies and stuff like that, or David Lynch, the Eraserhead, the two pillars of midnight movies, David Lynch and John Waters. Both those movies are made by filmmakers that like had a vision, right? They had something to say. Stuff like this, like the Mean One, is literally just I can shit out this fucking easy movie. I can put it on. I'm sure like I can get it into I don't know how fucking movies work anymore. Redbox and Amazon and the Apple Store because it's the evil Grinch movie.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that they probably made money off of this terrible ass movie. And the sad thing is like I've talked about this on the show many times. There are a subsect of horror movie fans that just love every terrible ass horror movie and they don't the nuance that we just talked about is lost on them because they will be like, well, this is a bad movie and I love it because it's bad. But like again, there is levels to these bad movies. And if you like this movie, I don't know, more power to you. I can't fathom enjoying this movie. I mean, I didn't look at the runtime, but after I finished watching it, I would guess it was around 6-7 hours long. That's what it felt like. I was
Yeah.
like, it was.
So you weren't impressed, to say the least.
I was not at all.
Yeah. Um,
I hated this movie, and the sad thing is that I was expecting it to be bad. I mean, you don't pick this and go, oh, maybe, but I thought maybe it would be like fun or like
yeah.
silly, and I thought it might be again like a fun bad movie, but it's just a bad movie.
And it
I
the to what your point talking about like the cult films like John Waters or David Lynch, but I'll use the example that we keep going back to, Silent Night, Deadly Night. And I love Trolls too. And I'm
Oh
sure
yeah,
that
yeah,
you do too. Like huge,
yeah.
two huge cult B movies. Well, actually, probably more rated
You ever
D.
seen the documentary about it?
Yeah, that's
The
what I was gonna say.
best
The
worst movie. Yeah,
the
it's great.
the best worst movie is so good because they get an opportunity to talk to the director, and the director is so eccentric and he's so passionate about this film.
Right.
He gets pissed off when people laugh throughout the movie.
Yeah, he
The thing
doesn't.
is, this
Yeah,
that movie
he doesn't
wasn't
get it.
intended to be funny, but
No.
the best part about it is that you're laughing because it's not supposed to be funny,
Right.
and it's
Exactly.
and it's so ridiculous, but the director made it so it was supposed to be a really scary movie. You watch it, you would never be scared at any single second, any
No.
single frame of that movie. And I
No.
feel like something like this, um, it doesn't take itself seriously. That's the opposite point that they're trying to make here. They want it to be silly, but
Right.
it doesn't hit. It totally misses the
I
mark.
mean, it's not trying to be serious, but it also I don't feel like there's a serious attempt to make it anything more than what it is. Like
Yeah,
I don't feel like there's a lot of effort in the movie. Like I don't, you know what I mean? Like I again, like I would be hard pressed. You would shock me if the filmmakers were like, oh no, this is actually like really funny or like really good. No, this feels like a punch out movie. Like it just feels
yeah,
like this is done. Like
yeah.
I got this dumb idea. Let's shoot it. Fuck it. Put it out. Who cares? Like I don't. It does. It just feels very low effort, and they probably had fun making it or whatever. But like, I don't know. I didn't have any fun watching it. Like, I just
Yeah, I mean, I will, to their credit, like I think it was shot fairly well. Like it looked good.
yeah.
The sh-
Again, I don't think it looked very good. I just hate the video, and I think like you have to be real. You got to be real good to make, especially like this level of production, video look good. And I just
yeah.
felt like it looked real bad. Like
Uh,
I think like the framing and everything like is fine. Like it wasn't like compositionally it wasn't shot poorly, but like I just feel like I don't know. There's something about again. I started the show by talking about this, but there's something about low budget movies like this nowadays where you can tell what the movie is in the first like frame of the movie because you're like, oh, like as much as I hated last week's movie, it looked a lot better
yeah.
because it you can just tell the level of budget. That movie was also shot on video, but
Mhm.
like look at that compared to this. It's night
Right.
and day.
Yeah.
And it's because of the cameras they use, and it's also because of the editing software that they use. But like, I don't know, there's something about like low grade or not even low grade, but like low budget, like modern video
Yeah,
movies
the
that just
aesthetic gives it a whole different vibe. When you're watching
yeah,
80s
it
movie,
looks
you're immediately transported to that time and that place.
yeah. And again, like it's something that movies from the 70s have a leg up on because no matter how wonky Silent Night Deadly Night is, like it looks like a movie.
Yeah.
Like you can watch Silent Night Deadly Night and then watch like I don't know, fucking Taxi Driver and like they look like the same type of media. You know
Right.
what I mean? Like obviously one is going to look better than the other because of cinematography and stuff, but they both look like films where it's like nowadays I feel like the difference is like there's a huge gap in time and space. And again it has a lot of different factors, but like man when you got that going against you, at least for me, like you have a steep hill to climb because I am taken out of the experience almost right away. And I think also it's a lot of the baggage that I bring into the movie because I know what's coming. I know we're getting another Blood and Honey. You know what I mean?
Right. All right. Well, let's do scores. I think it's time. We've beat up on
Yeah,
this movie enough.
yeah, it sucks. You can go ahead. You go first.
I'm gonna give it a 3.7. It
I will
uh
admit.
it I got through the 90 minutes. It was not,
Got put
not
that on the Blu-ray. I got through it. Chris Parks.
I
I
was pretty
got
proud of
through it.
myself at the end, to be quite honest. Like
It
I
was tough.
it was tough. It wasn't all in one sitting.
I was on my phone. I was watching TikToks, but I got
Yeah.
through it.
Yeah. Like I got the gist of it. And I wouldn't say I absolutely hated it. I hated last week's movie. I hated It's a
Yeah,
Wonderful Knife. This I didn't hate. It wasn't enjoyable, but and I wouldn't recommend it. I wouldn't watch it again. But it's just we can cross this off the list of
yeah,
other movies that tried to do a spin-off of these
yeah. God,
beloved children's
I
characters.
I can't wait to see whatever the next one's gonna be. I don't even know.
All right, TJ.
Um,
Yeah.
I give this like a 1.1. I
Yeah.
hated this movie. I hate is a strong term because I really was really just bored out of my mind. Like
Yeah.
I didn't find any part of this movie compelling. And like I said before, like every choice in this movie just feels like lazy and phoned in. Like I don't know. Part of me thinks like if you actually put some effort into this dumb premise, you could have had something. It might not have been any good either, but like maybe try to like match the aesthetics of the original
Yeah.
in some capacity. But again, that would take money and that takes effort. So what do? We just put it in some snowy town, and it's just like I don't know, man. It
This
was
would have been,
just
you know what? This would have been great as like an animated cartoon. I feel
yeah.
like if
Anything would be better than what they did. Um, I didn't care for this at all. I was very bored. You said this movie is 90 minutes long. That is shocking to me. Um,
that you're
it's
able
like
to sit
fine.
here with us today and say that you made it through to the other side of this movie.
Yeah, yeah, but well, I mean, not truly, because again, I'm not going to sit here and lie to you. I usually am a good soldier, and I put my phone away and I try to pay attention to movies. But like this one, I like my phone.
I
My
feel
phone
like
was
you're
like right
you're
in my hand.
you're a different person coming out on the other side of this. Well, shit, this made TJ sick.
Yeah, yeah, it's true. I thought I
He's
got
got the
COVID.
flu. It gave him the flu.
Yeah, yeah. I and I am coughing. Uh, So yeah, this movie likely will kill me. It's probably caustic and what's the word I'm looking for? It's a carcinogen to
Contagious.
watch the
Oh.
yeah to watch this movie. Um, so we hadn't talked about this, but next week I have a suggestion. Though I'm terrified to give any more suggestions based on the last one I just gave. So, we've done Christmas movies so far, right? But next
Mhm.
week is New Year's, and there actually is a New Year's Eve horror movie
There is.
called New Year's Evil.
Oh
I think we
boy.
should watch that.
Okay.
And it's old, so I feel like even if it's bad, it'll be better than this.
I think that would work. And then maybe the following week, we'll do our. It'll come after the new
Our
year, but
year
maybe our
end.
new year-end wrap-up of the best
Yeah,
and worst. And yeah, I think that works.
hell yeah.
All
All
right.
right. Well, that's the show. Everybody, follow us on the YouTubes and follow us on TikTok and
Subscribe.
Instagram. Subscribe there. Subscribe here. Blast my nips. Um,
You've got one subscriber there, bud. Right here.
Thank you, man. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna go
For
take
life.
some medicine and
Yeah,
lay
get better,
down.
man.
Still
Sorry to hear you
tired.
feeling so bad.
That's fine. I mean, this movie didn't make me feel much better, so.
Well, at least you're able to vent and get it out. So
Yeah,
hopefully,
exactly,
yeah,
exactly.
that's
And
that's
I
where all
made it
the
through the whole show
phlegm and
without having
mucus
to
is coming
blow
from.
my nose. That's what I was worried about. We were gonna have to pause. I'd blow my fucking nose. But anyway. All right, that's the show, everybody.
All right.
Bye
Peace.
bye.